He was convicted of one thing. They want him sentenced for another. That is how bastardized the American criminal justice system has become under Joe Biden's regime. Owen Shroyer, a reporter, let's say reporter, journalist for Alex Jones. He was in D.C. on January 6th, Danielle. He was actually reporting for Alex Jones. He never went into the Capitol building, but he was on the Capitol grounds. Naturally, the authorities went after Owen Shroyer with everything they had. And initially, they were threatening to charge him with all kind of 22 years worth of charges, probably.
Right.
For somebody that actually wasn't in the Capitol, 22 years seems appropriate, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, somebody that wasn't even there in town got 22 years.
Somebody who did absolutely nothing. He was there reporting, committed no violence, committed no trespass. He was simply on the Capitol grounds. Well, he made the mistake of pleading guilty to a lesser charge. That lesser charge, Danielle, was a Class A misdemeanor of entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds on January 6th. He was on the grounds. Well, now the sentencing phase is here. And after nearly 2 years, let's go to here. After nearly two years of fighting charges related to his presence outside the U.S. Capitol, Owen made the decision to plead guilty to a lesser charge. Shroyer allowed the government to review his social media accounts, likely looking for any scrap of incriminating wrongthink they could find. Owen stood outside the U.S. Capitol. Owen and Alex Jones warned people about going inside the Capitol. They knew it was a setup. Instead of being awarded medals for their actions that day, the regime arrested Owen months later on bogus charges. After all, he is a Trump supporter. Today, DOJ prosecutors sought 120 days of prison time for Owen. They want him prosecuted for speech crimes. Let's talk about this. Government sentencing memorandum. In the months prior to January 6, Shroyer spread election disinformation paired with violent rhetoric to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of viewers. Nothing illegal about that, by the way. Nothing illegal about your free speech, but my free speech. Yeah, no crime there, but they want it to be a crime. Warned in November 2020 that if Joe Biden became president, it's not going to be a million peaceful marchers in D.C. And on January 6, 2021, Shroyer took a megaphone before leading the crowd to the Capitol. The Democrats are posing as communists, but we know what they really are. They're just tyrants. They're tyrants. He was chanting 1776, Danielle. And they readily admit here, Shroyer did not step foot inside the Capitol. He did not need to. Shroyer helped create January 6th. The government respectfully requests that this court sentence him to 120 days of incarceration, 12 months of supervised release, 60 hours of community service, and $500 in restitution. This has nothing to do with the Class A misdemeanor he was convicted of. This has to do with effectively brand new charges entered at sentencing relating to his First Amendment right to free expression.
And it has a lot to do with the fact that he was with Alex Jones, because Alex Jones was a known cohort of Donald Trump.
Yep.
And that prescience, that's foreknowledge. So they said that he presciently said those things or warned of those things. So saying that he had foreknowledge that if Joe Biden became president, that these things were going to happen.
Yeah.
So they're saying that that's what is it that they charge the Proud Boy with? That's that. It's what's the word? It
wasn't insurrection. It was seditious
yes.
conspiracy.
Yes, that's a seditious conspiracy. That you're conspiring that if that event happens, this is what's going to happen. That's the conspiracy.
The problem with that, and why this is 1,000% evidence of the two-tiered justice system. The problem with that is, yes, what they're describing is a seditious conspiracy, but what he was convicted of was remaining on Capitol grounds.
Right.
Nowhere else in the history of the American justice system would a team of prosecutors be allowed in their sentencing memorandum to recommend sentencing for a crime the guy hasn't even been convicted of. And that's what they're doing here. He was convicted of one thing. They want him sentenced for another. That is how bastardized the American criminal justice system has become under Joe Biden's regime, where you can be convicted of a Class A misdemeanor, yet they demand you be sentenced for a felony. And I get they're only asking for 120 days. And I only say it that way because we have the comparison of 22 years for a guy that wasn't even in D.C.
Well, and you know that's what they were looking through his social media for, because Alex Jones.
Yeah.
So how hard is it to find when you're in regular conversation with Alex Jones? How hard could that possibly be to find?
But this is the United States government now telling you that the rule of law and the criminal justice system in America doesn't matter. It doesn't apply to you because they can convict you of one thing and we can demand you be sentenced for whatever the we want.
And this guy's media. Like, I don't care how shady or how bullshit you think Alex Jones is.
He's a reporter.
That's media.
Yeah.
So he was a reporter on the grounds of a once in a lifetime event. He was not, like you said, not inside the building, not part of the ruckus at all. He was there covering the event. And just like, what's his name? Not Schaefer, the dude over at that got booted off of Blaze TV. Anyway, got picked up. He got put on the no-fly list for being at the scene, again, media, being at the scene of this event.
Yes. Listen, this should bother everyone.
Schaefer.
Elijah Schaefer, thank you. This should bother everyone, left or right, because again, it's not always going to be Democrats that control these things. And once they've set these precedents, and these are legal precedents that they're setting, these same precedents are going to be used against radical leftists as soon as Republicans get control. I don't want them to be.
Right, but
that's the nature of things. This can't be allowed to happen. You cannot be allowed to be sentenced for a crime other than the crime you're convicted of. This can't be allowed. And they're trying to set the legal precedent right here and right now in 2023 that these tyrannical dictators that are running this country right now can have you sentenced for whatever crime they choose. Doesn't matter what you did, doesn't matter what you were convicted of, they can have your sentencing relate to whatever choice of crime they come up with. And that is some banana public bullshit right there.
Yeah, it is.
If this happens, we're all safer living in China because they don't even pull stunts like this under communism. They skip the trial entirely and just lock you up for whatever they want.
But they don't lie and tell you that you have freedom of the press.
Right. They don't tell you have a right to a fair trial.
Right.
By a jury of your peers. They don't even mess with that. They just arrest you and lock you the up. Here in America, now they lie to you and say, no, you have civil rights. You have the right to a jury. You have a right to confront your accuser. You have all these rights. But once we've convicted you, we're going to sentence you for whatever the hell we want. Because that's what they're doing here.
Being pedantic, they didn't get a conviction on him. He pled.
Yeah.
So they didn't even have to prove what they said. Mm-hmm. Again, I know it's being pedantic, but I think it makes a difference.
Yeah,
I mean,
it does. Yeah.
Anyway, let's get out of here. We're way over.
That's sorry to end the show on that, because if that's got your blood boiling like it has mine, you're going to need some time to calm down. Sources are in the links. The links are on Locals.